There is an eerie silence at the western end of the border, depicting as the silence before the storm. German and French are into the third year of the World War I. Germans are once again attacking French on the battlefield. The senior comrades orders around everyone to go out in the battlefield and face the enemies. Heinrich, a young comrade together with other fellow soldiers, sets to fight the enemy. One by one his fellow soldiers are shot down by the French soldiers in front of his eyes. He soon realizes that it was a dead end for Germans. After some time, he also faces the same fate as his fellow soldiers. After the end of the intense battle, the German soldiers collect the dead bodies and remove their clothing. After that they are buried in the black coffins. The clothing is then washed in a warehouse where the suits are recycled for the new enlistment. Back in the streets of Kaiser, North Germany, Paul cycles down his way to his friends who are waiting outside their school impatiently. Paul tells his friends, Albert Kropp, Franz Müller and Ludwig Bem, that his parents didn't sign the enlistment order as they don't want him to join the German Imperial Army. After hearing that, one of his friend gives him idea of forging his parents' signature. Paul forges his parents' signature and enlists himself in the army. In the school, one of the school officials gives a patriotic speech to save the honor of the country and that the future of the country lies in their young hands. The young lieutenants are in high spirits to join the army. One by one all the boys get their uniforms after going through the enlistment. The comrade confirms Paul's information, Baumer Paul 53 v Sung und, all unknowingly gets the uniform of Heinrich. But the senior comrade pull off the tag saying it must be a mistake. Soon after, the young soldiers are transferred to the northern front border. They are provided with G98 guns in their hands. The lot arrives at the 78 Infantry. Shortly after their arrival, senior commander pushes them to the frontline barracks when they are under attack. There the four friends meet a senior comrade, Kaczynski, who also goes by the name Kat. Kat offers water to Paul and tells him that it's going to be a difficult night. Paul and Kropp talks among each other while guarding the post at night. Suddenly they hear someone approaching them. Both comrades open fires in the distance. Just then Kropp gets hit with a bullet on his helmet. Kat offers them advice to change their position after every fire as the enemy could see the light from their mullet. The young comrades follow his advice and then change their position. Just then they are attacked fiercely by the enemies with grenades and machine guns. The senior comrades rush the junior ones to the safe place beneath the post. They all hides in the hidden bunker. But the French raids the place with grenades and the whole bunker collapsed down. After some time, when the enemies stop their attacks, comrades set off to rescue the survivors. They also find injured Paul beneath the wooden planks and rescue him. Paul watches in horror the damage of the raid. Seeing his shaken appearance, Kat offers him some bread. Their Kat tells him that it's the same every day. After that, a senior comrade asks Paul to collect the dog tags of the dead soldiers. While looking for the tags, he also finds Ludwig's body and his glasses. Paul silently cries and mourns over his friend's death. After the night of the raid, the group continues their journey and survives 18 months into the war. Back in the headquarters, Geranial Field Marshal is informed about the loss of huge number of soldiers during the war. Journal meets with the high-rank officials and persuade them to begin the armistice talks between the two countries to avoid the human loss. Back in the battlefield, Kat and Paul looks for food as they are starving. They goes into a farmer's house and steals a goose. The farmer then chases them while firing gun, but they manage to escape. Back in the barracks, the group of 6 cook meet secretly and enjoy their little feast and crack jokes among themselves. After the feast, they continue to tell stories of their hometown. Just then Franz spots a group of girls traveling. He approaches them and helps them by carrying their luggage to the destination. Back at the barracks, soldier receives letters from their home. Kat also receives a letter from his wife. He asks Paul to read the letter as he does not know how to read or write. In the letter, his wife mentions about sending some food for him and also asks him to save some money. She also writes about death anniversary of his son. Paul had no idea about his son's death and offers him his condolence. Later in the night, Franz comes back from his trip with the girls. He tells boys about the girl and also shows them the handkerchief as a souvenir. He keeps the handkerchief close with him all the time. In the morning, they set off to find the trace of missing recruits. Soon after, they come across abandoned building. They find traces of a gas attack there. The warehouse was used to clean the clothes of the soldiers. Inside a room, Paul finds all the dead missing soldiers. He calls over Kat and they come to know that the soldier died because of inhaling the toxic gas. Back at the forest of Compiègne, German and French delegations meets in a train. The German marshal persuades French delegation to sign a ceasefire while the negotiation continues. Bixford, who is against these negotiations, sends German troops to fight French at night. After some talking, French delegation provides Allied terms to the German delegation. French gives 72 hours to German delegation to accept the terms and also declines any negotiations regarding Allied terms. German marshal orders to send the terms to headquarters via telegram to ask their approval to sign the ceasefire. Back at the battlefield, Germans are attacked by the French troops with tanks and fire throwers. Soldiers march to the battlefield and try hard to push back enemy. Paul and Kat together throw a grenade at the tank, which halts the tanks. They then throw a grenade inside the tank, which causes death of the French soldiers in the tank. They then raid the French post. The German comrades gets distracted at the sight of the food. French takes opportunity and takes upper hand and continue killing German with fire throwers. During this intense battle, Franz and Albert are killed. Paul saves his life by hiding in a puddle where he fights with a French soldier and stabs him multiple times in order to kill him. After some moments he realizes what he did and repents his actions by asking forgiveness for the French soldier. He then searches the Frenchman's pockets and finds a wallet. Inside the wallet was the picture of his wife and children. Feeling remorse, he begs for forgiveness. The Frenchman dies in front of him and Paul looks guilty. Back at the train in Compiègne, German Field Marshal finally gets approval from the higher-ups and agrees to sign the end of the war with the French. Both delegations agree upon the effective ceasefire after 11 a.m. the following day. The news of the ceasefire travels in both countries. Both countries celebrate the news of the ceasefire with joy. Soldiers also celebrate the news. Paul finds his fellow friend Jaden back in the infirmary and they celebrate their survival. Jaden asks about severity of his wounds, upon which Paul tells him that he will get better once he goes back home and share the news of ceasefire. Jaden informs Paul about Franz's death and gives him the souvenir handkerchief. Paul silently mourns his friend's death and ties the handkerchief to his neck. Jaden tells him that he cannot move at all. Paul tells him to not worry and stands up to bring him some food. While trying to get food, he finds Kat and tells him about Jaden's condition. They both bring food for Jaden. Jaden then asks them for the cutlery. While Paul and Kat eat, Jaden stabs himself in the neck with a fork. Both Paul and Kat try to save him, but he dies. Both friends are in distraught to see the scene. Kat tries to talk to Paul and tells him to pull himself together. At night, Bixford ordered German commander to march to the French barracks in order to kill French. Early in the morning, Kat and Paul once again go to the farmer's house to steal goose. This time Paul enters the farm, but farmer's son catch him. They both escape the place with 2 eggs in hand. In the forest, farmer's son unexpectedly appears and shoots Kat. Paul hurries to take him to infirmary and keeps telling Kat to stay with him. Upon reaching infirmary, doctor informs Paul that he was shot in the liver and is already dead. Paul is shaken up after the revelation. Soon after, they are gathered in front of Bixford. He gives speech to the German soldiers that they will not back down and fight till their last breath. He openly condemns the decision of the ceasefire and encourages his soldiers to fight the French and come back victorious. Only then the nation will remember them as heroes and not some weaklings who fled the war. Paul, along with other soldiers, marches towards French barracks. In the French quarter, soldiers are celebrating the ceasefire and have no knowledge of enemy advancement towards their barracks. The French commander feels the vibration of the ground and sees armored German approaching their barracks. French soldiers defend themselves fiercely. Paul fights a French soldier violently. Suddenly another French soldier stabs him from the back with a sword. Right that moment, Paul hears announcement of the ceasefire at exactly 11 a.m. After the ceasefire, a young recruit collects the dog tags of the fallen soldiers. He also comes across Paul. He takes his dog tag as well as the handkerchief and ties it around his neck. Both countries take a sigh of relief at the end of World War. Shortly after the start of the hostilities in October 1914, the Western Front frees into positional warfare. By the end of the war in November 1918, the front line had barely moved. More than 3 million soldiers died here, often while fighting to gain only a few hundred meters of ground. After the ceasefire, 17 million people lost their lives in the First World War. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe for more epic videos. We will see you at the next one.